What we're going to do today is learn about percent composition. And this is pretty straightforward because it's just like percentages that you've learned in the past. What percent composition is the percentage of each element's mass within a given compound. And the general formula that I like to think about is this right here. It's whatever part the element contributes to the mass, and when I say contributes to the mass, I'm talking about like the molar mass, divided by the whole molar mass, times 100, and that will give us the percent composition. So again, it's the part divided by the whole times 100. So let's go ahead and calculate this. For example, find the percent composition of the compound aluminum bromide. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to first find the molar mass of the compound. Aluminum is 26.98. Now bromine is 79.90. Except we don't have one bromine, we have three, so we multiply this by 3 because there's 3 bromines. And then all we do is we type this in our handy dandy calculator and it gives us our answer. And when you type this in your calculator, you do get 266.68. And this represents the molar mass of the entire thing. It represents the whole. Now let's go ahead and calculate the percent composition for each element. And again, when we're doing, for example, aluminum, we want to take the part that aluminum contributes to the whole and divide it by the whole. And this here is the part that aluminum contributes to this whole right there. So you take the part, divide it by the whole, times 100, and we just type that in our handy dandy calculator, and we get 10.11%. And I'm going to rewrite that over here. So we get 10.11%. And so if we were to think about the percent composition of the aluminum bromide, aluminum contributes to about 10% of the total mass. Now what we can do is calculate the percent composition for the bromide. And so if you take a look, here's the part that the bromide contributes to the whole. And so we have 79.90 times 3 divided by the whole, which again, this is the whole, times 100, and that will give us our percent composition. Let's go ahead and type that in our calculator. And we get 89.88%. Again, I'm going to write this off to the side. Now, something to consider is these two numbers here should add up to 100. And in fact, they do. Well, they add up to 99.99, and that's because I did not round this one up, even though I should have. But the point here is that so one way you can check yourself is that these two numbers should add up to 100 because that's how percentages work. So let's go ahead and do some more practice problems. What we want to do is we want to find the find the mass of the copper, or of the compound copper to bromide. And so we want to find the mass, and then what we want to do is use this mass to find the percent composition of copper and bromine. So what I like to do is I like to set it up like this. We have copper, we have bromine. If you look on your periodic table, the molar mass for copper is 63.55. And the molar mass for bromine is 79.90. Except there's 2 bromine, so we have to multiply it by 2. And when you add these together, you end up getting 223.35. And so this is the mass of the entire thing. But again, if we want to find the percent composition for copper and the percent composition for bromine, again, we take the part, we divide it by the whole, times 100, and that will give us our answer. So for copper, we do 63.55 because this is the part that copper contributes to the whole. Again, this is the whole right here, times 100. And when you type this in your calculator, you end up getting 28.45%. All right, let's go ahead and now calculate the percent composition for bromine. Again, the part for bromine is this part right here, which is 79.90 times 2, divided by the whole, which is 223.35, times 100. And when we type that in our calculator, you end up getting 71.55%. Notice how these here do add up to 100, so you can check yourself by doing that. All right, let's go ahead and go through one more practice problem here. We're going to do the last one because it's the most fun problem there is. If you take a look, we have nitrogen, hydrogen, and sulfur. Nitrogen is 14.01. Hydrogen is 1.008. Sulfur is 32.06. However, there's two nitrogens because look at the 2 right there. That 2 multiplies everything inside the parentheses. Then we have 8 hydrogens because again, in the parentheses, there's 4. And then there's a 2 here which multiplies that 4. And then there's 1 sulfur. So all we do is we type this in our handy dandy calculator and then we will get our answer. The total for all of this is going to be 68.144. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out the percent composition of nitrogen, which again, you take the part, divide it by the whole, times 100, and when you type that in your calculator, you get 41.12%. Let's go ahead and do hydrogen now. So here's hydrogen. We know it's 1.008 times 8 divided by the entire thing, so it's the part divided by the whole. We multiply by 100, we type in our handy dandy calculator, and we get 11.83%. All right, then what we do is we do sulfur next. Sulfur is 32.06 times 1 divided by the 68.144 times 100, and that will give us 47.05%. What I want to point out here, and this is just a kind of random thing to point out. Notice how what element do we have the largest number of? Well, we have the largest number of hydrogens. What element do we have the fewest number of? We have the fewest number of sulfurs. We only have 1 sulfur. But yet, look at which element has the smallest percent composition. It's hydrogen. Hydrogen is the smallest percent composition, even though we have the most hydrogen. And the reason why that is because hydrogen has a very small mass. So even though there's a whole bunch of them, it still doesn't contribute a lot of mass compared to sulfur, which has a relatively large mass compared to the other 2. And it has the greatest percent composition. And so that's just something to note here. I think it's a concept worthy of pointing out for life. And you'll experience these sort of things in life. So That's it. That's how you calculate percent composition. Very easy. Part divided by the whole times 100. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Come to class with questions. I'll see you in class.